hey, if you've ever felt like education could be done better, I got you, I've been there, and I've seen many people with the same opinion. So what I'll be sharing is an experience of a higher middle class guy that was born into a mid-sized European city. Now, overall, I spent a ton of energy on education in multiple institutions around the European Union. I have seen, talked to teachers, future teachers, and students themselves. And now, in this moment, as I'm currently not active in any public education institution, I feel like it's a great time to actually talk about it, to actually get a bit of an overview of what was happening there, what did work and what did not, and how it could be improved. Don't get me wrong, I realize and I live the truth how education is important in a modern society. However, I have a ton of objections to the what and how it's delivered. I also believe that applied knowledge is wisdom, and that is a great foundation for a modern society as well. Now, it's very likely that people that have gone to the same institutions might have a completely different view on things, and it's clear that it's because we are all individuals, our perception of reality differs, and we might have had different experiences. But this point leads me to the actual goal of education, and that is to spiritually develop individuals. To develop individuals in a way that they succeed in life, which success is a completely relative thing to every one of us. How it's done best is by focusing and improving on what makes them happy and what they're good at. This video, I'll be covering shortly the Czech education system, how it works, what my journey was. If you're not interested in that, you can skip ahead to the next part, which is my suggestions for improvements. And if you're interested in university education, I made another video on that right here. If you are specifically interested in high school education across Czechia, Germany, and Liechtenstein as well, I made a separate video on that, so you can go ahead and watch that content. If not, I will continue speaking about my journey in the Czech Republic. I feel like it's necessary to focus on the structure first to give you a little insight of what it looks like. So, starting with 9 years, there is compulsory education, primary and secondary, they're usually together. After those 9 years, you get a chance to continue in high school. That is usually 4 years of studies. So there are also different ways. There are 8-year and 6-year programs of grammar schools that kind of allow you to go into high school a little earlier. And those are schools that are usually pretty admission-based. You have to pass an exam, and there is some pressure put on you additionally. After you finish high school, you can opt for universities that are usually 3 years for the bachelor's degree and additional 2 years for the master's. And for illustration, this is what my journey in the system looked like approximately. I started in primary school, and up until the 2nd grade, I studied there. And at that time, I transitioned to a 6-year grammar school program that had the main focus put on programming. Now, I did not graduate from that institution. Instead, after 2 years, I transitioned to a different grammar school, finished my high school in a 4-year program. After that, I continued to university that offered a 4-year bachelor, and I stayed there for roughly 5 years. Primary school has been a long time ago, but what I remember is that it was pretty progressive in terms of using digital technology, as well as the science classes were quite thorough. What also remains in my knowledge is that we did like HTML in IT class in 7th grade, which was nice. And overall, I would say I did learn a lot. I might not have liked getting up and doing homework, but it was quite good tuition. What was not so great was that the school had a ton of problems in terms of drug use, smoking cigarettes, and bullying, and that was pretty much from an early age. And so I was encouraged to go to a grammar school, as I mentioned in the How School System Works in Czechia, and in the end I did. I did go there from starting with the 8th grade, and it was a grammar school that specialized in programming as well as other subjects. There was strong science. I remember quite strong German, but programming was something that I felt like I could be good at the moment, but the environment of the school wasn't as welcoming. And to be honest, I didn't even learn much programming in the first 2 years when I was there. We pretty much only reached HTML and maybe something extra to that, but we didn't even get to do like C++ and any other programming language, which was, to be honest, a disappointment. I expected more from that. And this and a couple of other reasons, such as being in class of 34 boys only, were the motivators for me to go to a different institution. So when I was 15, I changed to a different grammar school, and this time I was pretty much satisfied with the community feeling and social life that was there. Also, language tuition was good, especially German, English as well. Well, science made a lot of sense for me at the time. I studied a lot of physics and I liked it. And so what was the greatest advantage is that this institution offered a ton of like abroad trips and exchanges. And so I got to a German school, I got to Liechtenstein, and we did go on a ton of like expeditions and trips to Broad Island, etc. In 2019, I graduated there from Czech, which is compulsory, math, physics, and English. What happened then was that I went for university in my home country, and that is, I believe, a completely different topic that I encompassed in a separate video. So if you're interested in that, go watch that. Finally, I'm getting to what should work differently and what I would change so that the education system would be more individual and more effective. In 2024, year when pretty much anyone can reach any type of information online, and while we have AI that can simplify the process as well, the advantage of public institutions nowadays is that they have premises, they've got funds, and they've got the people and the community around it. I see the biggest contribution in education in teachers themselves, teachers that not only give data from point A to the student, but teachers who actually inspire and who have good relationships with the students. If I were to run a school, I would think of every single student as a customer that made the leap of faith to give some power to my institution over his education and future prospects. First things first, education must be fun for everyone. I know it's difficult if there are like 30 people in the class, but that's an issue on its own. It must concentrate on what the students actually want to learn and want to get better at. Creativity must be embraced and not hammered down, as that's what I observed happening in a lot of cases. Second suggestion is leave out the chaos and embrace order. Now, I remember as a student, both in high school and university, that a huge part of my mental power was pretty much taken away by actually like figuring out what data is important for the teacher in the test or exam and what do the teachers actually like expect us to know. And if the intention is to teach students how to literally pick the needle in the haystack, well, then it's done well. But I believe simple lesson plan actually covering it wouldn't have to go like months in advance, but let's say for the next week, covering what the concrete topics are of the lessons would help a lot, as well as clearly defined expectations for each exam. Third point, applying the knowledge. Pretty much it's very difficult to learn anything without applying the knowledge. Yes, you can cram a lot of data, but that data is still just a mental model, and in order to learn effectively, you actually have to do something with the information. That means embracing field tuition, internships, inspiring students, and having actually them find out what they like doing and what they're good at is crucial since an early age. Number 4, grading does not make much sense to me. For one, it's never accurate. It is a ton of extra workload for teachers, and overall it's much more effective to just give verbal or written feedback to the students to point out their strong and weak points so that they can actually get better at it. What happened a lot of the times when I was in education is that after an exam or a task, we were given the result, but there was little to no room for any discussion, or you'd have to have like a private discussion later after school, which is ineffective. Everyone needs discussion in order to improve what they failed at or what they were good at. In an ideal state, every single one of us needs individual mentorship and private teachers in areas we wish to improve in. And although I know it's very hardly achievable in public education, limiting the amount of people and trying to make as small groups as possible is a way to go. Curriculums. Schools need to teach up-to-date and relevant information, otherwise it's completely useless. And so if the curriculums are not flexible enough to provide the latest information, which is clear, then teachers and schools themselves have to have much more power over what they're actually teaching. They should be allowed to prepare their own curriculums on a local level. Number 7, the environment has a huge impact on our cognitive ability. I know that in reality, modern buildings have this figured out and older buildings just kind of struggle with this, but maintaining a good temperature, air humidity, CO2 levels are crucial for good performance of both teachers and students. Thinking of a school environment, we shouldn't be restricted to what a standard classroom with 15 tables looks like. We should be thinking of U-shaped classrooms that allow smaller groups to learn more effectively. And I know this puts more pressure on the teacher, but it allows for a closer relationship as well. We should encourage learning actually outside if the weather allows. Parks, rooftops, there are places like that even in cities that can be used. Going to field trips to galleries, I have mentioned that, but it is also important. We have all been through COVID and we have observed how education was at the time. And to be honest, I was not a fan. I definitely did lack some kind of like peer support and contact with the teachers. In the institutions that I was in, everything pretty much went back into its original place after COVID. And so I feel like offering at least partially tuition online, whether it be streamed online or whether it be offline videos or whether it be just good support materials, is a great advantage that every single school can offer to its students. And it can actually help a lot, especially in developing countries. Internet access is a great topic on its own. However, why not make use of it more? We pretty much all have the available technology. Getting to the core problem, especially in the Czech Republic, and that is that education is still running on the old punishment mentality. That is encouraged by grading, but it's kind of like in our psyches kind of encoded. And this is something that has to change. You know, people are not objects, therefore the system cannot run like a factory. It has to be individual. And one of the most important things that every single teacher should do in every lesson is, before starting, explain the why. Why should you listen to this? Why should this be important to you in life? Why are you learning civics? What is math good for? Why are you learning physics, and why should you keep doing sports in the long run? Why is it beneficial for your body? Explain biology and chemistry on this example, and I have rarely seen that done. The whole process should be fun, it should be interactive, and it should be gamified. However, I see, and I have been saying that for years, that the system needs massive changes. I wonder what your experience with the education system was. Were you satisfied? Were you not? And why? So what country did you study in? And would you imagine the system working a little differently?
And so there are already schools that are doing segments of this well, and so we should learn from them and stop doing things that don't serve. Now, bless you and make tuition great.